hiddenalliance.com.
All right, let's get this started. Welcome to ACRE Radio training, where we're going to go through tonight basically the three main types of radios. But the first thing we'll go over is we will go over direct comms and setting up direct comms. So ACRE does not recognize continuous transmission. It sees it as an open mic, and it actually doesn't accept that. So what you need to do is, and I'll wait while y'all do it, we'll get it done, we'll get it fixed, is you tab out of ARMA, you go into TeamSpeak, and in the TeamSpeak window, at least my TeamSpeak window, you go to Options. I'm sorry, you go to, hold on, I got to tab out to see it. Tools, that's it. You go to Tools in the top bar, and near the bottom is one called Options. You select Options, and within the left-hand bar is one called Hotkeys. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a hotkey for your direct comms. I don't care what key you use. Pick a key that you don't normally use for anything else, like caps lock or enter key or something that you use all the time. For me, it's the right control key. So what you'll do is you probably don't have a key set up or a default key. So in the bottom, I think it's in the bottom of that window, you'll see it says new key. So you want to set up a new, and I did this a long time ago, so I can't walk through this with you because mine's already set. Set up a new key, and then I think you click in that window, and it will be listening for whatever you touch next. And for me, it's the right control key. Once you've set that, there may be a save button, there may be something you have to do, exit out, and then from this point forward, right control, or whatever button you select, is your push to talk key for direct. Okay, so once that's set, you can let me know on the radio once that's set. We're going to walk you through the second step of this so that it's not so much of a difficulty in game. So once you get that set, let me know. If you have any challenges, let me know along the way. You can key it up in the radio. That's totally cool. And we've got stuff hitting the base. And that's exciting. So once you get that set up with a hotkey, next thing you're going to do is you're going to go back to Tools. Once that's all set, you're going to go to Tools and Options, and you're going to go to Capture. And within Capture, there's three different options, if you will. Push to talk, which will then show whatever button you have set as your default, which again for me is right control. Continuous transmission, which we do not want. Or you can elect voice activity detection, which is what I'm set on right now. With voice activity detection, what TeamSpeak does, as you talk, it in essence automatically keys whatever your push to talk is, in this case, my right control key. So then you will be able to just talk without having to push a button, but it's voice activated talk. It is not continuous. Continuous is, again, not recognized by ARMA. Bad, let me know if you've gotten it. I can hear you now, sir. Very good.
All right.
So that's how you set up direct comms. For anybody who wants this, obviously I'm recording this. You'll be able to see this, pause the video, go back, go over it. If you got to ask me questions, ask me questions. Basically what you're doing is you're setting up a default key for your push to talk indirect, because you have to have that. And then you're setting up TeamSpeak in voice activation mode, and then that becomes your direct comms without having to push a button. Now, for those of you who have loud backgrounds, kids, dogs, birds, other things going on, my request is set yourself up a key and use push to talk even for direct, because no one wants their immersion broken with your dog barking in the background. When you do voice activated, you have that as a challenge. All right, now I can continue on with the actual radios themselves. So let's go to slide next, and I will show you the next step. So we've got two different tracks here that we're training on tonight. We'll go through them relatively quickly because there's no reason to take our time. You can all back this video up if you want to watch it again. First one is practical radio, where we're going to talk about just really the base elements of using the radios, setting up the radios, and then using them. And then a small theory section for SLs and above, command radio. The reason I start with practical is everyone needs it, including SLs, and only commanders. Whoops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Only commanders need the command side of it. But y'all can learn it. It's a good thing to know. So we're going to do a quick overview of the ACRE radios. We're going to talk about the different combat radios and what they do, how long they work, what they do, the command radios, what they do, how they work. And then we're going to talk about rack radios. I think within this squad, rack radios are going to become more of a thing. I want y'all to get used to them, get familiar with them. And then the last thing we'll talk about is a little bit of radio discipline, because the next thing that happens with every clan I've ever been with is once everybody figures out how to use the radios, everybody's talking on the radios. 3 major types of radios that we're using in ACRE and within this group. There are others. We're not going to talk about them because they're not relevant to us. First one is the 343, which is your short range radio. It's good out to about 1 click. In cities, probably 500K. So it's really not a long range radio. But again, within the context of a squad, a fire team lead, and even the squad lead, talking to those guys local and around you, 343 is more than adequate. My recommendation to all squads, use direct as much as you can. Think of the 343 as your extension for when you're a little further away from your guys and you need to talk to them. Use direct whenever you can because it keeps the radio traffic down for both the squad lead as well as all the other team members. Second radio in our menagerie is the 152. That is a long-range radio. It is a field long-range radio. It will go out to about 5 clicks. I've seen them go longer. Both of these radio types are LOS constricted. If you're in a town with a lot of buildings, they will have less range. If you're in a bunch of hilly terrain with a big mountain in front of you and you've got your guys on the other side of the mountain, that will become an issue. That you have to always take that into consideration. If you are in the bottom of a gully on one of the maps, consider Anazay. You get in the bottom of one of those gullies, even on Anazay, that dirt is going to cause you to not have the range. Get out of that gully, and then you'll be able to broadcast further. Last one we're going to be talking about today, we'll get to in a minute, rack radios. Basically, those are the radios that are in the vehicles, and those give you much more extended range because they go from, I think it's 10 watts to 50 if you attach a 117, which is a backpack radio, to one of the rack radios. I think it boosts it as high as 50 watts. And all of them use the rack radios either mounted or unmounted. The rack radios will get you easily across pretty much any map that we use in ARMA. For the Air Corps, I'm going to recommend they use the rack radios pretty exclusively. Slide 6. So the 343, pretty simple. The way you bring up the 343 to see it, and I'm going to do it here for the people in the video. Bad, you're going to do it on your own. It's an ACE self-interact, which is the left control button and the Windows key. Bring up the ACE interactions. You then see radios. I have 2 different types of radios in my kit right now. I have a 343 and a 152. If you hover over the 343, you have multiple options. First thing we're going to do right now, we'll talk about those other options. Hover over the one that says open, and we're going to open that radio. That opens the radio, and you can see it as if you're holding it in your hand. Left bar of this thing has a thing called I forget what it's even called. It's called a something. Blocks. It's blocks. What you can do is you can set up a lot of different blocks, and for large teams where you have 100 or so on the map at any given time, actual players, you might need more than the 16 channels this comes with. First thing, antenna right side, obviously a representation of one. If you left click on the channel changer, it will increment by 1 channel up. Channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. Only the odd numbered channels are actually indicated, but know that the 4 and the 2 are there. A right mouse click will take it back down. If you go all the way around to the top, you can kind of see it there on channel 1. You can get up to channel 16. We should never need more than about 9. If you right mouse click on the volume knob next to the channel knob, you will see that the volume goes down. You can actually turn the volume off. So you can have a radio in your kit like a 152, but you're a squad level person and you can turn the volume down. Different radio, but we'll get to it in a second. You can basically turn the volume down. I leave the volume all the way up all the time. Hit the escape button. That will take you out of that radio. Let's talk for a moment. Both radios have the same functionality, but let's talk for a moment about the other options. So go back into your ACE self-interact, go back to radios, go back to the 343, and now you'll see some options. I'm going to leave these open here so all those people on the recording can see them. You see it says both ears, open, set as active, share, and PTT1. Both ears, if you go hover over that, will tell you, well, you'll be able to see it, set to right ear, set to left ear. You can set it so that the 343 only comes to one. It is stereo specific, only to one ear. I typically set squad to left, command to right, so that I can keep it separated in my head as the radios are coming in. Open, as you saw from before, opens the radio so you can see it. If you set as active, it will change this radio to your caps lock key. So let's say you had 4 radios in your kit and all 4 of them were showing. The minute you set as active, that will be your caps lock key, will make whatever radio is set as active fire. Next button there to the left is share. Please don't ever turn this on. The share button turns on the speaker on the radio. And then when someone broadcasts, you're going to hear them, and then you're going to hear them, because it's going to double post. And you always have to remember, within the context of ARMA, the enemy can hear direct comms, which is why we whisper sometimes, and they can hear stuff that's on speakers. Keep them in your headphones. Never select share. Last button it shows here is PPT1, PTT, push to talk 1. If you hover over that now and you have more than one radio in your kit, you'll see that I can set this now to push to talk 2 if I wanted to. I don't, and I'll explain that why in just a moment. So that's the radios at a high level. That's the 343. What we're going to do is we're going to quickly move to slide 7, the 152. Similar, longer range, couple more features and functionality, many of which I don't use. But let's bring that radio up just from the recording perspective. Bad, you and I can play with it a little bit. So here's the 152. I'm going to go to 152. Come on. 152 and go to open. Come on, can't see my there. I couldn't see the mouse button. And it didn't do it. All right, let's go to radio. 152.
Mine open.
And open. Yeah, I didn't do it right. There it is. Now it's open. Currently I'm on channel 1. Same thing with the 152. It is in the center of the top of the radio itself. There's a channel changer. Left click will move it up, increment it by 1 channel. If you notice within the context of the window, I am on channel 2 here showing, and if in the window you see I'm also on channel 2. Increment it 1 more. Now I'm on channel 3. Bring it back down to channel 1. Also, you can, if you want to, because 152 has a lot more channels, you can actually go down to this keypad and you can enter 25. It's not doing it. 2, 5, enter. Doing it. 2. Okay, it's not doing it for me right now. I don't know what's going on with my channel.
Not doing it for me either.
Yeah, it's not doing it. Well, but I do know that the preset keys will let you increment them up or down. So you can increment up or down with the preset keys. You can go up or down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I always push the enter key to make sure it locks that in. Even though it shows channel 1 at the top, you're broadcasting on channel 5 now. The minute you move that button at the top, it moves it back to what the button indicated. And you'll see when I go back down to channel 1, it's back at channel 1 again. So if you set it using the keypad, leave it, because the minute you touch that button on the top, it takes it back to the default channels based on what that button is pointing at. 152 has a lot longer range. I turned it off and now I'm turning it back on. For those of you watching the recording, you're seeing that I turned it off and turned it back on, so it had to reinitialize. Escape button to take you out. I'm going to show it real quick just so you can see it. The 152 has all of the same features and functionality. Both ears, open, share, and PTT2. Now, which I can set as PTT1. Let's talk about that for a moment before we move to rack radios. I have a side keyboard. It's a, what is it, a Tartarus? It's a Razer Tartarus. And I actually have a key set to right control. So that when I have push to talk set up for my direct, it's where my middle finger falls on this side keyboard. And I can easily just touch that and key up my direct comms. If it's ever noisy here in my background, I always set to push to talk. That is my direct comms. The button directly below it on this keyboard happens to be the 13 button. The previous one was the 8 button. The button right below it is, if you go down, think short, think down, short, shorter, down. That is my 343. And it's always set to PTT1, which is caps lock, not control caps lock, which is long range, just caps lock. Automatically do whatever PTT1 is. Badenoff is getting a double post right now because at the same time that I'm talking to him in direct, I'm also keying up my radio. So what you're seeing here in the bottom right corner of my screen, you'll see that my 343 is keyed up because I'm pushing on that button, Control Caps Lock. The above button, which is the 03 button on mine, so now I don't even have to change the channels or change the radios or change which is set to active. I have Alt Control Caps Lock. Caps Lock right now is transmitting on the 152. So short range, long range, and for me, direct, if I need it, is right there, but I'm in voice activated, so I don't need it. Short range, long range, short range. Go back and forth. 343, 152. That pretty much covers the bulk of what we need and what we'll be doing within the context of everything on the ground and what anybody would need. It is, I need to go to the next channel. Next slide, slide 8. I want to talk about rack radios. Oh, look, currently action is not protected. Something we're causing a problem here, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm looking at TeamSpeak. 343 for your squads, 152 for your squad leads. I recommend that every 2 IC, second in command, also carry a 152. You can turn the volume all the way down if you want. I would say 2 IC should be listening in on command channel, although he doesn't broadcast. Make sure that you're broadcasting and doing everything in your team on the 343. Couple reasons. If everybody is on the ground using a 152 and you start crossing up channels, that's a lot of traffic. If you're using a 343 within your squad and you have a dedicated channel, let's just say, for argument's sake, Army is channel 2 and the Marines are channel 4. We'll never cross up. The Marines in their own squad will only hear what they're talking about, and same thing with the Army. When it comes to their squad leads, they will have their long-range radio set to command channel, and they can talk to each other all the time. But since there's fewer of them on that command channel, they don't have to worry about any of the troops interfering with their comms up channel, up line, because they're talking on a different radio type. And this is where we get to rack radios. Rack radio, this is a 117. This is both a backpack radio and it's the same interface that comes up on a lot of the vehicle radios. Bottom line is you have an LCD display, the keypad. Oh, I do know the keypad definitely works on this one because that's how I've changed it before. This has a lot more channels available to it. And my recommendation for the Air Corps is as follows. There is both a mountable radio in the airplane and an unmountable. Mountable means you can have a 152 in your hand or on your body, and you can mount it. Think of it as putting it in the charger on the radio, but it now binds that radio to that rack radio, and you are transmitting on the 152 frequency you have using the additional power of that rack radio. I believe it's the 103 that is non-mountable, meaning you cannot attach any other radios to it. That is a non-mountable. You have to only use it in the vehicle, and you have to only use it by virtue of bringing up the interface and setting the channels. I recommend that Air Corps use the non-mountable radio as their air-to-air frequency. We don't ever need to hear what they're doing, what they're saying, and what they're talking about. So that can be their air channel, specific to air when they're talking, when they're dogfights, when they're calling out targets or whatever, air-to-air on that unmountable. On the mountable, you can either mount your 152 or you can just select the ground channel that is command and then use that as your push to talk, if you will, for talking to command. For Air Corps, I definitely recommend, for most squad leads, I recommend putting one in one ear, one in another ear, kind of keeps things separated for you. Rack mounts in the vehicles do the same thing that they do in the air. They extend the range, whether it's mounted or unmounted. You'll see there on the slide, it says provides up to 50 clicks. That's if you take this 117, which is a backpack radio, mount it in a vehicle, meaning you attach it to the vehicle. You take the then, I think it's 10 to 20 watts of the 117, and you increase it by the vehicle's additional wattage, pushing you up to upwards of 50. I know it's between 20 and 30, even if it's unmounted, meaning it's just a standard rack radio, gives you more than enough range to get across our maps. Talk a minute about radio discipline, and then we'll take a brief break. And Badenoff and I can do some fun stuff just to check things out. So here, Mad Solo's recommendation for radio discipline. Keep it short. It's not a phone call. Your job is to call something in, and that's it. I always recommend you say who you are and who you're looking for on the radio, even if it's in 343. The way I always do it when I'm in a squad, I say lead solo, channel 1. or just lead solo. If we all know we're on the channel, you need to know that. Then when squad lead is free enough, he will then key back to me, solo, send traffic. You don't know because you're not hearing his command channel. He may be talking to the commanders, may be talking to Air Corps, he may be talking to Armor. You don't know. So let him know you want to chat. Wait for it. When he sends you to send traffic, keep it short. I'm 30 meters to your right. I'm at this grid coordinates. I've got 2 guys down. I need a medic, whatever that traffic is. But wait till he's listening to you before you send it. If you send it, you're talking over something he's trying to listen to. Doesn't matter how urgent it is. He may not be hearing it because he's in the middle of some other traffic. Spend most of your time in direct comms. I can't emphasize this enough. I've seen so many people use radio as a crutch where they're keying it up all the time, even when they're standing next to each other. ACRE does a very good job with direct comms. Let's talk about direct comms for a minute. You're going to see it in the video. The tab key, T-A-B, tab key. If you push the tab key, it brings up a little bar. The bar that's on the window should be showing orange right in about the middle. That's about the 50%. You can use your scroll wheel to turn it down, and when it's not showing at all, that's whisper mode. And even bad enough next to me will hear me, but it'll be a little quieter now because I'm in whisper mode. You can use the scroll wheel and boost that all the way up where you're shouting. I don't ever recommend that unless you need it and you're not in the area of enemy, because again, voices carry in ARMA, and the enemy, the AI, will in fact hear it. I recommend leaving it at normal unless you're in a very, very close CQB jungle environment. In Prairie Fire, we turn that down to 0 many times and use hand signals and whisper all the time. That's your direct comm. Spend most of your time there. Also, please keep it short, even in direct comms. You want a coffee clutch with one of your friends that you're playing with in game or that you're around, wait till you get out of game. I get it. I've heard guys give their entire life story as we're running through the jungle. No one needs to hear that. We're trying to listen for the bad guys. Voices carry everything. We're here for a reason. Save that for later. Practice the 3Ds. This was something when I first started in ARMA a long time ago. I am not a military guy, but I had enough military guys train me. 3Ds. Direction, distance, and then description. In that order. First thing you're trying to do when you're calling out targets anywhere, indirect or in comms, and why the 343 is so important. Direction, 350 degrees. If the squad is together, that will give everyone in that squad a rough idea. Left, half left, back right. Whatever you want to do for a quick comms, give them the direction to at least get them pointing the right way. Many times that'll be enough because they'll see the inbound fire or they'll see the enemy and they'll start shooting them. Distance, if you know the distance, not to the meter, but general, they're 100 yards out. They're danger close. They're at the next ridge line moving down slope. Then give the distance as to what you think. 400 out, moving down slope, 4-man team. Well, actually, I did that wrong. The 4-man team is the last part. Direction, half left, 200 yards. That's all you need. Because obviously it's something that's either shooting us or that we need to shoot at. Last thing, description. 4-man fire team moving left to right, unaware. So your direction, distance, and then description. Practice it. It's once you get used to it, it's something you'll just naturally normally do. It's super simple, super fast, and I got to tell you, it makes a huge difference. Check in regularly. As a squad lead, as a CO, I do this all the time. We'll be in a firefight, and all of a sudden guys will hear me call out. Bad enough, you good? Trick, you good? I'm just looking for everybody to respond back. A bunch of fires going on. We're 50 meters apart. I don't know who's down. So we're checking in. Make sure you check in. Once you go through a firefight, if you've been in some fire, you've just cleared a room. Checking in, good, building clear. If you're on radio, if you're in your direct, let your leads, let your teammates, your buddy, your battle buddy know that you're good and you're okay. And if you're called out, please respond. Nothing is worse than a squad lead calling out. If you're okay, where are you at, what's going on, and you don't respond. The natural assumption is you're down, and now we're going to try and find you. Bad and I are going to take a brief break here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shut the video, the recording off, and I'll be back in a second, and we will continue then with the next phase of this. Give me 1 second. All right, welcome back. Phase 2. This is the second part of our training. As we mentioned, this is going to go towards more of some of the command comms and some of the theory and setup of communications and theater level communications. So we're going to go over a couple things pretty quickly. Again, some of the comms theory, the setup in terms of as a command squad lead and above, how you want to set and do things. Some of the team radio discipline you want to have at a command level. talk again about rack radios, and then some of the resources at the end. So now we'll go to, I believe it's slide 11. That was slide 11. Let's go to slide 12. So theater level comms. One of the fun parts about both ARMA and modern military to start with is, if you notice, everybody has earphones on, both in real life as well as in game. That's because comms is a key piece. Knowing what's going on, talking to your teammates, talking to your commander is a key piece. But as squad lead and above in theater level comms, if you don't say it, they don't know it. So if you're getting a order from on high that the Air Corps just took out a tank 5 clicks out, probably not as important to know about until you get to a moment where there's nothing going on. Or if there's nothing going on, you can tell the guys, hey, it looks like they just took out a tank about 5 clicks away. Know that we have tanks in the AO. If you're getting something coming in that there's a helicopter, there's enemy helicopter sighted in the area, let your team know. Remember, you're hearing this as a squad lead. If you don't tell the team, they're not on the same radio you are hearing the same traffic. So make sure you're taking that stuff down. Same thing with carrying stuff up. If the team sees a column of 4 tanks moving down the road, obviously it's incumbent upon you as a squad lead, as a commander, to carry that up channel so that someone can react to it. This is my favorite slide. Everyone hates it, but if you really take a moment and just look at the colors and what they mean, it suddenly starts making a lot of sense. Let's start with short range and the red button. You have a fire team lead, FTL, 2 of them, a squad lead, an alpha squad. They're all red. Those SR1s, doesn't matter what channel it is. In this instance, it happens to be SR short range channel 1. They are all in their squad level on a 343 on channel 1. Bravo squad is on channel 2. Charlie squad is on channel 3. The ARs, the AARs, the GL guys, the only thing they've got in their kit, the only thing they're worried about, their channel and their squad. At the top of that pile is the Alpha squad lead, Bravo squad lead, and Charlie squad lead. They each have, independently, a 152. That 152 that they have is set to 1 channel, long range 1. And with that purple channel, they can talk to the XO. Again, this is in the groups that I've been with. We can mimic this down a little bit. We also had all of our medics always traveled with command. We do CCPs, and you'd have to combine medical people back to behind the line where the medics would fix them up. Medics were never forward. Medics were always working in the back, and we kept them plenty busy. But on the purple channels, you see CO, XO, and then even the air squad with purple right there in the center of the air. All of those can be reached by the various squad leads. They are not necessarily talking to air. That is the responsibility of the RTO. But again, the air team can talk to them, and they can talk to the air team, or at least hear what's going on, especially when they're calling in CAS. Because a lot of times, while the XO will direct the air team to the area, it'll be air talking to the various squads on the ground to make sure they're popping smoke, popping the right color smoke, making sure that air is seeing the smoke, especially in a danger close CAS run. Pretty simple. One of the modifications I think I'm going to make for this whole team is you see short range 99. I think we're going to come up with a different channel for that, and it would be my contention that that's short range 1. Because when you drop into game, the first thing that your 343 is set to is channel 1. That should be the wrong channel. That should only be the channel we drop in with, or the emergency channel. And this is where I'm going to say that both command and our XO, RTO, and XO would carry a third radio. And the exclusive purpose of that third radio will be a short-range radio set to channel 1 so that anybody who is separated from their teams, down and wounded, squad lead, 2IC is down, and he doesn't have a long-range radio, will be able to change to the yellow emergency channel and be able to get a hold of somebody. We used 99 back in the day. That was what we always did it and turned it to. But command, those guys at the top always had an extra radio, or if we thought that someone was lost, we would turn to that radio. Going through some of the other channels, just so we have it, you have LRO2, and that's the intra squad channel. I'm going to recommend for Air Corps that they set their 103s to whatever channel they want. In our world, we had RTO that would talk to each of the major branches at the top of the house using the light blue. We're not going to do that here. You'll have a long-range channel 1, which everyone will be on. Air Corps will be on, commanders will be on, and the squad leads will be on. and then air will have its own channel for its air-to-air comms. Slide 13? That is slide 13. Slide 14. There we go. One of the things, if every squad I've ever been with, every clan I've ever been with, one of the first things you do when you're setting up, it's usually commanding officer. Sometimes they would push this down to each of the squad leads as they were setting the channels for their various groups and branches. If you'll see in this particular slide on the map, it is Stratus. That is the airport that we all know and love so well. Somewhere in the ocean, somewhere near the AO, but in a place that's easily read, not with a bunch of terrain. Command long range channel 1. Alpha squad is on short range channel 1. Bravo squad short range channel 2. We knew that meant 343, so we really didn't have to put the 343 in there. And here emergency channel was set to 7. Air was on long range channel 3. That was air to air, in case we ever needed to get a hold of them. They would also be on command. This exists and is written on the map before any mission, so that if you're squad lead for Bravo and things go sideways, and for some reason you need to get a hold of Alpha because you've lost your squad lead and all sorts of reasons, you will at least know what the channels are. If you are a squad member and you're lost from your team, but you know or think that you're near one of the other squads, you can then change your short range radio to what you think is another squad that's nearby and hopefully communicate with them. So we always wrote the channels that we were using for that op on the map. We get really fancy with calling them out and giving them different names because we never actually said names. We gave them titles. Like, we're going out on chocolate, and then this will be cherries, and this, and then we knew what that meant, because if you were doing team versus team, you don't want to tell people what radio you're on. Keep comms tight. This is at a squad level, squad leader and above. Keep them tight. Keep it critical. Battle information. Nature of radio traffic is not a phone call. This is not a walkie-talkie, and it's not for idle chit-chat. Manage teams comms as a tool in the field, not a toy. Keep comms to a minimum. It will instill a sense of urgency and a critical nature of all the traffic that's on any given net. Don't use it as just a way to chit-chat about stuff that's going on. Limit that to direct comms. Let you read all of the rest of that on your own. These slides will be available in the gift shop upon leaving. That was slide 15. Jeez, we're flying through this bad. This is awesome. Rack radios, critical to commanders. Okay, it's a key piece. Now we talk about rack radios from a command level perspective. If you're a commander, if you're in the field, and you have a vehicle, it would be my recommendation to either attach your 152 to the rack radio in the vehicle so you can be broadcasting with an additional boost of range. Certainly the 152 for the command level. And if you're going to get out of the VIC, make sure you take your radio with you. I believe when you get out of the VIC, if I'm not mistaken, it automatically puts it back in your kit. And then you will be set with, and I can't show this right now. Jeez, we got all sorts of stuff flying around. When you get in the vehicle and you have to use the rack radio. So in addition to attaching your 152, there's a little button that you hover over it. It will say, use this rack radio. It will set up a third PTT3. And you will need to keybind that. I forget what the keystrokes are. It's Alt plus caps lock. But it becomes PTT3. So when you mount and use a rack radio, you're actually not using PTT2 anymore. You're going to use the rack radio in the vehicle. That gives you additional distance. Same thing for if the Air Corps were to use the 103 and have a 152 and a 343 on them, which they shouldn't need. Then they would also have a PTT3 that they would need to set up, so that would have a third option. They're not carrying that radio, but it is one that they can key up on. Rack radios gets a little more complicated, not horribly so, but it's something that once you practice it once or twice, it just becomes kind of second nature. We're really getting towards the end pretty quick here, and it is 8:45. Man, I did that in under an hour. Look at that. Here we go. Slide. There's resources. There's the thank you slide. I've got resources that I will get to you guys on the outside. I don't even remember what slide 20 is. Is this something that Indo put out? Hold on, let's see. Yeah, it's his. He capped it on both sides with that. So that finishes it off. If you got questions, ask me. I'll be posting this video out so you all can see it. It's recorded. YouTube will have it here shortly. I'm going to tab out here and end both the stream and the recording.
HiddenAlliance.com